This is a message from a parallel universe.
From here, we study guilt the way you study weather patterns, not as truth, but as something that moves through bodies, settles without permission, and convinces you it belongs there. We have observed how early you learned to apologize, before you knew what you had done, before you knew who you were. You called it responsibility, you called it maturity, you called it being good. But guilt is not always born from wrongdoing. Often, it is inherited. It passes quietly, through tone, through silence, through the looks that linger too long, through expectations never spoken, yet always enforced. You absorbed it as a child absorbs air, without consent, without choice, without language. Guilt for being too much, guilt for needing, guilt for wanting something different, guilt for surviving, guilt for leaving, guilt for staying, guilt for saying no, guilt for saying yes. None of it began with you. In our timeline, we learned to ask a simple question. Is this guilt responding to harm caused or to discomfort witnessed? Because those are not the same. You were taught to feel guilty for other people's emotions, for their disappointment, for their fragility, for the dreams they handed you and expected you to carry as your own. You were taught that love requires self-erasure, that loyalty means silence, that goodness feels heavy. So you learned to carry weight that was never yours. You mistook guilt for conscience. You mistook obligation for morality. You mistook compliance for kindness. From here, we can see how guilt shaped your posture, how it softened your voice, how it delayed your decisions, how it convinced you to stay small so others could feel stable. But guilt that is not yours does not guide. It constricts. It does not make you better. It makes you quieter. Inherited guilt does not protect relationships. It preserves imbalance. In our universe, we discovered that true responsibility has clarity. It names harm. It repairs. It releases. False guilt only loops. It asks you to atone without end, to explain endlessly, to prove goodness without ever being believed. Notice how this guilt never resolves, how no amount of self-sacrifice seems to silence it. That is how you know it is not yours. What belongs to you brings relief when addressed. What does not belong to you demands infinite payment. You are allowed to set guilt down, even if others are uncomfortable without it. You are allowed to disappoint expectations that were never aligned with your truth. You are allowed to feel compassion without self-punishment, to care without carrying, to love without bleeding. From this parallel place, we offer you a practice. When guilt arrives, pause. Ask where it originated. Ask who benefits from you holding it. Ask what would happen if you returned it to its source. You do not need to announce this return. You do not need permission. Just because you can carry something does not mean you should. Your nervous system deserves peace more than it deserves approval. In our world, guilt is no longer proof of goodness. Integrity is. And integrity does not require suffering. Release what was never yours to begin with. Let guilt return to the past that created it. Let your body learn a new language, one without constant apology. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You are accurate. This message was sent to remind you, you were not born owing your life to anyone else.
End of transmission.